bad they are. I mean, the things that kill a team, whether it's a good team or a bad team, the things that kill you, it's penalties and turnovers. And Nebraska had so many of them. Kind of one of our consistent Twitter followers made the point that he said it's like Nebraska got this game handed to them on a silver platter and kept refusing it.
I would agree. The last three possessions they ended with turnovers. I mean, it was, but at the end of the day, a win is a win, right? I mean, Nebraska's 3-3. A win is a win, and that's what matters the most, despite how sloppy it was.
I'm getting a lot of text here.
No, we got sound now.
Okay, sound's back on. Yeah. Sound's on.
We got sound.
I got like 9 people texting me like no audio. So.
Well, let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. Let's go to 402-543-5556. Brad, are you there? Where are you calling from, Brad?
I'm here. I'm calling from Polk, Nebraska.
Excellent. What's your question, man?
You got me?
Yep, we got you.
Yeah.
Hey, I got 2. Trav, this one's for you. How does it feel to watch that offensive performance and know that Mark or Satterfield is still a better OC than Iowa was?
Technically.
And Rob, can you talk about please 4th and 1 out of shotgun or 3rd and 1 out of shotgun?
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal for me, and that's one of those things that I still look at. I understand that's one of those situations where I think I think guys, I don't know. I think offensive coordinators and head coaches get a little greedy and they look at that and they think, okay, well, if I'm in shotgun, that maybe opens up the playbook a little bit, where when I'm in shotgun, there's in a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 3rd and 2, those short yardage situations. I think the offensive coordinators and the head coaches look at that and they say, okay, if I'm in shotgun, I got, let's say, 12 plays I can run in that situation out of shotgun. If I'm under the quarterback, I got like 3. And so I think the coach's mindset is, okay, there's more things that the defense has to be prepared for. There's more things they got to be thinking about if we run that. The bottom line is that, you know what, statistically your chances of making the play, getting that first down, if you're 5 yards closer to the first down mark, you're going to get it. It's just, it's moronic to me, and it drives me nuts when I see that. I want to see coaches get under center. I think it's just a case of where they've gotten so used to running stuff out of shotgun, they're not sure how to do it under center anymore.
I think a good example would be, go back and watch the doctor's diagnosis presented by Central Federal Credit Union right here on the YouTube channel, because
last week we broke this down.
Yeah, went right into it. I think it was a 4th down play. They went out of shotgun, and it made no sense as Nebraska's drive stalled in its own red zone. And if they would have been under center, it was clear that they were going to get
would have had the first down.
Yeah, absolutely. 402-543-5556. That's the number to call. Also, if you want to leave comments in the section below, go ahead and do so. Krillin31 says, prevent defense in the last couple of minutes had me screaming. That page needs to be pulled out of the playbook this week. Advantages or disadvantages of going into the prevent late in the game?
It's never an advantage. Coaches are human. I mean, they always will be. And it's one of those things, if you look at defensive coaches, everybody's always done it since time began. You're not going to see prevent defense go away. That being said, if you've been playing a defensive style that works, you stick with it. And I hate to see coaches go away from that. And we went away from it in the game. I would have liked to have seen them stay a little more aggressive, keep getting after it, keep bringing that pressure. If I'm a coach and I lose a game because I continued to bring pressure against the offense, I can live with that.
402-543-5556. TJ in Omaha. What's up, TJ?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good.
Two questions here. So Are these two the worst teams in the Big Ten? Because
Yes.
this
Close, yeah.
was painful to watch. It was terrible game.
100%. No, I don't disagree with that at all.
And then second part question, do you think Scott Frost was a better OC than Satterfield?
OC or head coach? I mean, if you're saying OC, I would probably say yeah.
OC.
I really never had much of a problem with Scott when it came to calling a game. The offensive productivity when Scott was the head coach, I mean, for the most part, I thought was really solid. I mean, the things that doomed him were the things that doom a lot of coaches. It's penalties, it's turnovers, special teams issues, things like that. And we saw so much of that tonight, especially the penalties and the turnovers. I mean, that was brutal trying to watch that.
3 turnovers for Nebraska, 2 for Illinois. And again, bringing up the penalties again, because I think we were muted at the time. 10 penalties for 70 yards for Nebraska.
Which the yardage was not brutal, but I mean, the numbers were.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a ton of penalties. But if you want to ask me a question, do I think Scott Frost was a good offensive coordinator? Yes. If you followed his career, he did a great job with it at Oregon. He did a great job in terms of running an offense at UCF. I thought the offense was not, I'm going to say not a problem when Scott was the coach at Nebraska. It was the little things. It was those penalties and turnovers that killed them.
402-543-5556. Brian in Omaha, welcome to the Doc Talk podcast. What's up?
Gentlemen, love the show.
Thanks, man.
One question I have to ask. Second quarter, 1:31 left. They passed the ball, which stopped the clock every single time. Why in the world did they not run the damn ball? I don't care if you get 1 yard. You're using time up. Then you give Illinois the ball back. I don't understand that.
It's
1:31 left.
So I totally get it. That's one of those things that drives me nuts. And I get frustrated about that pretty frequently because it's sort of it's just a situational awareness kind of thing. And from a coaching standpoint, I think that's something that you've kind of gotten away from over the years, that a lot of the coaches now don't have that big picture situational awareness anymore. And you know what? You're right. That's a great example of it. When you look at the scope of things, I mean, I think in that situation, they're looking at it through this window of what's the current down and distance and what play am I going to call for this down and distance with the defensive personnel that I'm looking at out on the field right now. That's what the offensive coordinator is looking at. That's what the head coaches are looking at. They're not looking at it from the sense of, hey, we're ahead by X amount. It's a minute and a half until halftime. It would be kind of nice to burn clock, keep these guys from scoring. Now, granted, they missed the field goal, but let's keep these guys from scoring and let's just get to halftime. And coaches don't think that. They think of it in terms of this incredibly focused here and now of current down and distance, and they do not think of it outside of that. There's a little bit of a lost art there when it comes to coaching. And I say that in the sense of as a coordinator or head coach, that's where it's been lost. And I've seen that for years. Yeah. I mean, God bless him, but geez, Tim Beck was the worst at that. He just, I mean, if you want a historical example, that's the guy that just would get locked into whatever the down and distance was and would not look at, okay, what's the overall game situation we're in right now?
How ironic is this? The second time Tim Beck's been brought up on this podcast
in a week,
because we had, and if everybody,
and I didn't want to bring that up too much with Joe Mowgli a couple of days ago, but
if you're watching right now, we highly encourage you to go back and listen to a podcast we did on Tuesday with Joe Moglia. A lot of good information there. A lot of stuff about the transfer portal, NIL, and stuff, and Tim Beck. But I just wanted to bring that up. It's weird. Tim Beck's been brought up in the show twice in the last week.
God bless him. But I mean, the guy from a situational awareness standpoint, as an offensive coordinator in the course of a game, oh God, that was so frustrating.
402-543-5556. Let's go to Gretna. That's where Cody is. Cody, welcome to the Doc Talk podcast. What's up?
Good evening, gentlemen.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Question. What's going on, buddy? I'm not gonna do what I said I was gonna do.
You were gonna drop an F-bomb, weren't you?
Sleeping baby.
Weren't you gonna drop an F-bomb?
Yeah, yeah, but I got a sleeping baby. I don't need to be getting yelled at. So I got a couple questions for you guys. Travis, I'll start. Can you give us some cues as a Hawkeye fan how we settle into this?
It's hard.
And just accept it.
It's really it's really hard. It's one of those things where you show up every week, and I have to run over to Des Moines tomorrow. And I'm bracing for the Purdue game, and it'd be interesting for myself to watch yet another bad offense.
Okay, hey, I got to interject here a little bit.
Okay,
it's way easier to accept mediocrity
when you're mediocre,
when you have never won a national title.
Here we go.
I mean, I get it. I love it. Like that 58 Hawkeye team. Love them. Great team. The 2015 undefeated season.
12-2.
They were undefeated.
12-2. They're 12-2.
Every Hawkeye fan will tell you.
They're 12-2.
Undefeated. I get it. When that's what you've got to deal with. Like, I mean, and honestly, I say that kind of sort of tongue in cheek. I'm kind of serious though. If you're a team, so Nebraska has 5 national title trophies sitting in their trophy case.
I covered 3 of them.
That's the only ones I'm claiming.
Okay.
We got those 5. Okay. If you've got 0,
and then the other question.
If you got 0,
he's got
mediocrity.
Get off Iowa. He's got a question.
Mediocrity is easy to accept. Okay. Question number 2.
Okay, the last 2 questions because Rob's happy right now.
I love beer.
The first question I got is: can some of this? Oh, but I know I got to get you your Big Grove stuff. It's coming. The third question is: can some of this offense be changed by Satterfield going up to the box?
Boy, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, that's one of those things. Every O coordinator does stuff differently, and the how of it, I'm not sure much changes going from sideline to the box. Some coaches will say it does, some say it doesn't. I don't know if there's a good answer for that one.
Yeah, after the bye week, do you think we see Sims?
Why would you? Seriously, why would you at this point?
The potential liability is so big with him right now. If you go back and watch it was what was it? The week 2 behind the point spread show we did with Scott.
Yep.
He talked about the fact that Jeff Sims in his college career, he's one of like, what did Scott say?
First half he's really or turnover prone. Second half he's a lot better.
Yeah, but Scott said he's like one of 4 guys in the last 20 years that Vegas has actually pinned like a statistical value upon in terms of the turnover ratio.
Harburg was 12 of 24 tonight, 154 yards. He did have 1 pick. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't great, right? It wasn't bad.
No, that was I agree.
And to me, Harvard's got your 3 wins. I think you keep riding this as long as you can go.
I mean, that's the thing that's really tough about this is you look at Nebraska since they switched over to Heinrich. I mean, he's 3-1 as a starting quarterback at Nebraska. Argue that statistic, I guess.
You know, Brian.
I mean, that's a tough one to argue.
Brian says when Sims is healthy, use him in the Wildcat. That's not a bad option.
Well, and that's the thing. My argument's always been like put him out there somewhere, just not at quarterback. Make him a running back.
Matt says, does Rob rent out a room at Travis's house?
Yeah. Why?
Because you've had a lot of beer.
I'm like,
a lot of people are saying Sims.
like,
a lot of people in the chat
why?
right now are saying Sims, and I understand it's a knee-jerk reaction. It's a knee-jerk reaction.
I get it. But I'm also one of those guys like I really, really would like to see him out there playing somewhere. Put him on the field somewhere.
All right, let's go to Honolulu, Hawaii. That's where Michael is. Michael, welcome to the Doc Talk podcast. Aloha.
Hey, aloha, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Good.
Now, I got to say, that was the most satisfying, frustrating win I think we have had in a long time. I'm originally, as you know, y'all know, I'm originally from South Carolina, so I've followed the Gamecocks a little bit here and there, and I'm used to Satterfield pissing down his leg. That play calling in the second half was horrendous. My goodness,
that was brutal.
But my question I have for you all, and I'll drop a fucking F-bomb since Cody couldn't.
Okay.
Who do you think was tearing in the ass more on that first time out, Rule or Tony White, and that defense on that goal line stand?
Ooh.
Tony White.
Yeah, I'm going to say Tony. Although you got the results you wanted. They got it. I mean, on the offense,
they were pushing the ball, and
that was huge, though. That was huge. It changed the total dynamic of the game right there.
It kind of did, and I mean, and that was a play that you look at these. We talked about the fact that you've got two teams, neither one of which is a great team. I mean, they're very okay teams. When you're in that situation, you've been hit with all these losses. You have that kind of dynamic within a game where you go 75, 80 yards on your opening drive. You get down to literally, I mean, that was the half-inch line. After the illegal motion penalty, they had the ball it was right there on like the 1-inch line.
Literally the 1-inch line. And then
and they didn't get in.
No, they didn't get in.
And then Nebraska goes, they go like 65 yards and get a field goal, but
the long pass from Harburg to Washington got him out of that.
Yeah, that was big.
They got him out big. Hey, Michael, real quick, are you serving the country?
Yeah, this is the same one.
All right. Hey, thanks for serving, man. We appreciate it. Thanks for calling tonight.
100%.
No, I appreciate you all.
All right. See you, buddy.
Have a good night.
All right. 284 or not 284. I'm going to a completely different number. You know how many numbers I give during the day? Oh, and how many numbers do I give during the day? It's crazy. 402-543-5556. Let's go to Fremont. That's where Brian is. Brian, welcome to the Doc Talk podcast. What's up?
Gentlemen, how you doing tonight?
Good.
I'm always doing pretty good.
It was what it was. Look, I know you guys are always doing good. That's the thing. That's why I call. You guys always try and stay positive, upbeat. That's what we try and do on our podcast as well. So I love what you guys do. You guys give it to us straight. I love it. I hear you guys going over the offense. I mean, just quick recap of that. We know where the problems are, and we all see what needs fixed. As far as Sims goes, I'm completely with you right there, Rob. No, not a quarterback.
He's not
going to make it there. He's too much in his head there, and it's just like what you hear in the movie The Replacements. He's in quicksand. One thing goes wrong, then another, then another, then another. He's in his own head. So I think that just needs to be put to rest. Now, the defense, I got to say, guys, what a monumental stand on that goal line.
That was huge. That was game-changing.
By our defense. Guys, the 09 defense with Sue Crick and that whole personnel didn't do something like that. This was monumental. That was a game changer from the start. The defense said enough was enough, planted their feet in, and said no more. Minus one big pass play, that defense played lights out. So I just wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on the defense, and I'll let you guys get back to it. And thank you for letting me call in.
Hey, thanks, Brian.
100%. Appreciate you calling in. You know, on the defense, I thought the whole game they really played well. Here's the thing that I think people don't take into consideration is how many times the offense basically had a chance to really put this game away. And instead of doing that, they turned the ball over to Illinois and put it right back into the hands of the defense again.
Yeah.
I thought the defense really did a good job in this game in terms of dealing with just the continued crap.
You can say shit. It's fine.
I'm looking for the right word.
You can say whatever you want.
Shit that the offense hands to them. I mean, God, that's got to be frustrating as heck. The fact that you look at the turnovers, you look at the penalties, you look at the blown plays, where you've got an opportunity as an offense to just completely put this game away and fail to do so. I mean, on the flip side, there's some stuff here that I look at where if you're a Nebraska fan, the things that frustrate you about a game like this are that offensive productivity, things like that. There's some good stuff here. I mean, the defense did a good job of standing up and taking it.
Hello.
Yeah, hold on, Steve.
Yeah.
402-543-5556. We're going down to Las Vegas. That's where Steve is. Steve, welcome to the Doc Talk podcast. What's up, Steve?
Hey, I really love your show. I listen to it every week.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm actually a Rapid City boy, but Husker alum. But anyway, I just want to say, hey, Heinrich Harbaugh is playing great. You said he didn't play bad. He didn't play great. I think he's playing great. He's playing good football. Heinrich Harbaugh did not miss that field goal. He did not fumble the ball on the twice inside the 20. He did not incur the penalties when the offensive linemen were all starting in the red zone. He did not commit the personal foul that Ben Scott did by falling on top of the guy after the play was over. Heinrich Harbaugh hit some fantastic passes that were key to driving the ball down the field and making first downs and getting the ball into the red zone. So I think if you look back at how he's performed, this guy reminds me of Brooke Behringer, and we've got to make sure that we're getting the best kids from South Dakota and Nebraska, like Hutmacher from Chamberlain, and then the only other question, I'll get off here. I just had a quick question for you guys. I'm a little concerned. I love everything that Matt Rule is doing. I do think he whiffed on the quarterback in the portal, and I'm wondering, and I don't know the answer to this. I'm not at the practices, but did he whiff on the field goal kicker? Although the field goal tonight, I think it was bobbled by the holder. And so I don't know that you can totally put that on Albano. But heck, that Tim, the guy we had last year, his percentage is much better than what Albano has done so far. Now, I hope this kid, he's only a freshman. I hope he comes through, and maybe he'll go down as one of the best kickers in Nebraska history. But I just want your take on the field goal kicker as well. And thanks for what you guys are doing.
So
thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so a lot of ground to cover here. So on the quarterback thing, transfer portal. I don't want to call it a whiff, but I mean, you got a situation where, I mean, one of the things is here that you got Casey Thompson coming off of a shoulder surgery. Rule and his staff were not going to be able to really evaluate Thompson until August. So they went and got another guy. And you know what? Sims was the guy that was available at the time. They took a shot. It was a gamble. I mean, in terms of quarterback, I don't think it didn't really pan out. I still think there's a place for Sims, and I want to see him on the field.
Let me show you. I mean, look at this. Aaron says, pretty sure Sims will be back after the bye. Heinrich Harburg isn't a quarterback. He's lucky Illinois D can't catch. I love his grip, but they need to open up competition back. I mean, it's funny how different people see this thing.
I do, and I get it. I mean, the thing is, though, is that we lost 2 games because of turnovers. And it was QB turnovers.
Minnesota and Colorado, you're talking about.
I mean, at the very least, if you remove the quarterback turnovers in those 2 games, Nebraska's 1-1 coming out of the Minnesota and Colorado games.
Yeah.
Which is what people wanted to see. I mean, when people looked at the schedule, they were like, hey, 1-1's great. I'm still at this point, I'm still in the position where I'm thinking Harburg at quarterback. You got a guy who's that game manager type. He's got the ability with his feet to make a play if need be. But he doesn't turn the ball over like Sims does. And if you don't think Sims isn't a turnover machine, God, you got to go back and look at the behind the point spread we did, where Scott really did a deep dive on Sims alone.
Did you know what we're doing here tonight?
Jeff Sims is a statistical anomaly in and of himself that Vegas pays attention to when he's the starting quarterback. When that's the case, you got to take that into account.
Full disclosure, what we're doing here tonight is doing a live show to wrap up the Illinois game and make sure that you go back and listen and watch all our other content.
Exactly. But I mean, if you go listen to that show,
covered.
It's interesting as hell because Scott makes the point. This is a Vegas handicapper, a guy who does nothing but that for a living. And he will tell you that Jeff Sims
is a turnover machine,
is a statistical anomaly from when it comes to turnovers. Get him on the field. Yeah. Just not as the quarterback. I mean, there you go. On the kicking side of it with Alvano, he was 2 out of 3 tonight.
And the one he missed, I swore went in.
Well,
the replay showed me, but when you first watched it, you were both like,
and a lot of people made the point. They were like, "Hey, laces out. There you go." It wasn't the greatest hold. It was a solid night for Alvano, actually. The last 3 weeks have not been great weeks for him. He started off the season, first week or 2 strong. The next couple of weeks, not so great. Tonight was a good night. He's a freshman. Give him a little bit of time. I guarantee I still keep telling people that Alvano will end up being Nebraska's all-time leading scorer. I still believe that.
All right, so James writes in on YouTube, says, how much of this is mental and them trying to give away a game? They clearly are the better team. But this feels more like mental breakdowns. Let's talk about the mental aspect of the game. And we got a lot of stuff on the mentality of this team coming in.
Well, I mean, I think that's true. I mean, you got a team that has not been in a situation. Okay. Look at this game against Illinois.
Yeah.
They did everything they needed to do to win the game by a couple of scores. They still played. I mean, most people, that's the thing that's interesting when you look at the comments, the calls. The thing that's interesting about this is people are commenting on the fact that Nebraska did not play very well. You had a lot of penalties. You had the turnovers. You had some bad play calls on offense. It was not a clean game in any way, shape, or form. But you won against a Big Ten opponent by 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's kind of a good thing, I guess.
And on the road, by the way.
It was on the road. But that it's the deal that if you took this Nebraska team that beat Illinois tonight, I would probably argue this was a lesser effort than we saw against Michigan.
Boy, you're going to have a hard time convincing me of that.
I'm just saying, and that was a game that Nebraska lost 45-7.
402-543-5556. Let's go down to Atlanta, Georgia. That's where Craig is. Chuck, welcome to the Doc Talk podcast.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me on. First of all, living down here in Georgia in SEC country, and again, I graduated from the U back in '86. This has been pretty tough, but I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, I like Harbaugh. I think he's a gritty kid. But I got to tell you, I agree with the other guy that just mentioned. I felt like there could have been 3 picks tonight, easy. And there was a couple other throws that he threw that I was like, man, what's he throwing to that guy for? So again, I think he's got a long way to go. I definitely think quarterback is just something that we've got to develop somebody. We got to have somebody that can.
Chuck, do you think do you think Heinrich Harburger is the lesser of two evils right now? Because that's the way I see it. If I'm picking a guy,
I think I can't disagree with that at all. I think it is. The problem is when you look at the schedule coming up, we should have beat this team by 4 touchdowns tonight.
100%. Easy.
And I just, I look at it, and again, do I put that on him? Totally no. Matt Rule did say something interesting in his press conference about them, doing things to draw us offside or to incite, legal procedure penalties. So, that was an interesting aspect. But I guess, at the bottom line is, when I look at Heinrich, he's got a lot to develop. I like a lot of things about him. I think he's tough. I think he plays hard. But again, I just want to be honest, from my perspective, there's a couple of times I was holding my breath and exhaling after a few throws.
The thing is though, is that I had more of that breath holding with Sims. I get it with Harburg.
No, without a day.
Yeah. With Harburg though, it's one of those things where if you look at the turnover numbers, Harburg is so far and away better. Now, he's a pretty amazing athlete. He's a big kid. He can run, he can throw, he's got the arm strength, his speed is impressive. I would argue that Sims is probably the better overall athlete.
I don't think there's any disputing that. You and I have had that conversation. You could say put him in in running situations, but you've actually suggested put the kid in as a running back. Yes. Let him be a running back.
Yeah, he's about as unprototypical a running back physique as you can get. But put a Harburg at quarterback, put Sims at running back. Let's see what happens. Let's get these guys on the field together because I think it'd be fun to see. And a lot of it is, as I look at Sims, and the fact is that you got this guy that I think it has total buy-in with this team and this coaching staff. And he's willing to do what they want him to do. Put him out there.
402-543-5556. Let's go down to New Mexico. That's where Rick is. Rick, welcome to the Doc Hawk podcast. What's up?
Thanks, guys. I enjoy your show.
Thank you.
The born and raised up there, I've been in that culture of seeing the pipeline. What, being that you're a lineman, Doc, what's the O-lineman's mentality right now? How do you grade them? and why is it so hard for them to maintain a block and get off the ball? And then the last thing is, what does Nebraska have to do to solve the running back fumble issue?
Oh boy. On the lineman side of it, a couple of things. From a recruiting standpoint, when you've got a position group that has 5 guys on it, that's not an overnight change. You don't get one good, great recruit and all of a sudden the offensive line's awesome. You got to get 5 guys in there. That takes time. That's a tough one. And right now, when you look at that offensive line, granted, you got Ben Scott, who's a transfer from Arizona State, but the bigger issue is the fact that, you look at it, the other 4 guys are the same guys we've been looking at the last 2 or 3 years. it's a situation where these guys, they're okay. They're not good. They're not great. They're okay.
I think that's what people forget, right? Is that this team wasn't very good to start with.
Yeah, this is a very okay offensive line. The tough part to deal with is the fact that these are the best guys we got. There just isn't anybody else on that roster. You've got some young guys like Gatula out of Lincoln Southeast and Sledge out of Prep, but those are guys that you're just not going to see out on the field that much for another year or so. So you've got to have two things happen, and one is you want to see that coaching change, which I think Nebraska had a year and a half ago. But you got to see a personnel change as well, and we have not seen that.
402-543-5556. We're going to go out to Langhorne, Pennsylvania. That's where Ree is. Ree, welcome to the Doc Talk podcast. What's up?
Hey, guys, what's happening?
Not much.
I interact with you guys on Twitter quite a bit and stuff like that. So just a couple. I don't have any questions, but just a couple of stats that kind of jumped out at me this game. One is Nebraska ran 73 plays. I don't know if you guys know that, for 312 yards. So,
well, and that was one thing we looked at. I mean, the one thing that jumped out, I mean, from a statistical standpoint, that you look at where you go, okay, Nebraska's going to win this game, time of possession. And that's the total number of plays. It's the number of run plays. It's the rushing yardage, which if you look at that, that's great. It's all great stuff. But it's the number of plays and it's that time of possession. I mean, brutally in favor of Nebraska. And that's the kind of stuff where when you look at the stuff that should lose you the game, turnovers and penalties, Nebraska still wins this game going away.
Yes.
That I mean, the fact is it was not a close game. This was not a close game at all. But that's the stat that you're.
Sure as hell felt like it was, though.
It kind of did, but the stat that really jumps out to me is the same one that jumped out to you. Total number of plays, rushing plays, time of possession. When you look at that, it's so overwhelming in Nebraska's favor. There's no way Nebraska loses this game with those statistics.
37-17 for Nebraska time of possession, 22-43 for Illinois. And I don't know about you, but when they
37-17.
No, 37-17. So 37 minutes, 17 seconds to 22-43.
Okay. I mean, that's basically a 40-minute to 20-minute time differential. That's so brutally in Nebraska's favor. Wait, go ahead. Say that again.
73 plays for 300. I see 73 plays for 312 yards.
Yeah.
And that's a type of stat that would pop in my head if Iowa ran that many plays.
Well, trust me. Hey, I live with that every week, man. I live with that every week. Okay?
Iowa only runs 3 offensive plays per quarter.
Yeah.
If they hit 15 plays a game, Brian Ferentz gets a bonus. But no, that's
right. And then the other thing that kind of stood out to me, and I didn't really realize it until probably the fourth quarter, was I don't think I've ever seen a Brett Bielema team abandon the run the way he did tonight. Now, granted, when he was in Wisconsin, he had a ridiculous stable of running backs, but I mean, they completely abandoned it, and it may have had something to do with the fact they were down a couple of scores, but
I think
that's just not what I've ever seen Bielema do before.
Yeah,
that, I'll just turn it over to you guys.
They kind of.
Appreciate it.
I mean, on the run game with Bielema, man, that offense got gutted by graduation losses. Love's a stud. I mean, the guy's a really, really good running back. He was out last week with an ankle injury. He played tonight. He got banged up a couple times. Had to leave the game, I think, twice. I mean, that hurts you. The thing that I thought was weirdly, I don't know, this is the kind of thing I notice. That's the skinniest Illinois' offensive line has looked in 3 years. They just didn't look big.
Yeah, Brett Bielema's regressed in year 3. Now, he lost a lot of guys in the National Football League. I get that. But you brought it up. That he won with Lovie Smith's guys, right?
And that's the thing that I kind of wonder about is, was he playing house money that first couple of years? And now all of a sudden that he's got his own guys in there. The thing is, when he was at Wisconsin, I mean, that was a factory.
Yeah.
It really was.
But he also had the Barry Alvarez factor with him there. I mean,
and I think that helps a ton. I mean, from a recruiting standpoint, I'm not sure the phrase institutional developmental standpoint, it makes a difference. And he does not have that at Illinois.
402-543-5556. Trying to get to this one. There we go. Joe in St. Louis. You're on your way back from the game, Joe. Joe, you there?
Yeah, just heading back, going back to St. Louis.
Okay.
Love it.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Hey, just heading back. First time caller, long time listener, but had a great time at the game tonight. Like Rob said, though, I thought they had a chance to put that game away. And
oh, we lost him. Are you there? Oh, he must have. Oh. You know where he hit? He hit East St. Louis is what happened. He just hit East St. Louis.
There's a dead spot right there.
He just hit East St. Louis.
No, I mean, he's bringing up a point that was great. Nebraska had so many opportunities to put this one away, and they never did. And I mean, just that's a little disappointing for me. And that's, I don't know. This is going to be one that's going to be hard to kind of get past over the next few weeks here. You want to see them get to a game where they put it away, where you've got the other team down.
I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I mean,
I think it can. It's just one of those, there's all these little mental mistakes they got to be able to get past, and we just haven't seen that yet.
Andy says, for once, it looked like the Black Shirts brought the pain to Illinois, and their players were feeling it all week. The thing about Nebraska, the defense, I don't know how good Nebraska's defense is. Am I boring you?
No, I'm tired. It's getting late at night. It's almost midnight.
Is it really? It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm in bed an hour and a half.
Listen, we've been on 50 minutes. We still got 180 people listen to this stuff right now.
I'm good. We're going to keep talking. I might need to go take a bathroom break and get another beer.
You're going to Rob's going to take a pee.
I got to refill the tank.
But the defense, it played with a different level tonight. You could see this defense played with a different level.
So I think Nebraska's been playing very good defense all year, the Michigan game notwithstanding. I mean, it's just, we talked about this in regards to Michigan. That's okay. Right now, the second ranked team in the country, they might be the best team in the country.
There's some argument for that.
Yeah, Michigan's going to tear you a new one. It's just going to happen. I get that. Nebraska's defense outside of that game has been outstanding, and they were again tonight. We just need more help from the offense, though.
I'm trying to think where that went to. And it was somebody who wrote in. I can't find it right now, but it was like year one. It's going to come around. What is the impatience with everybody? Is it 20 years of just futility? Is that what it is?
I mean, I think that plays into it. I think the other thing is that people look at like Prime at Colorado, and he has that great start to the season. Now, granted, he's a couple of big losses here, but it's everybody wants to see that year one turnaround. Bo Pelini, 9 wins first year.
Hell, Bo Pelini had 9 wins his last year.
Well, he never had less than 9.
Yes.
Thanks, Perlman. That was great. Loved it. Worked out well. Totally understand. Not at all.
Well, Harvey, he's a piece of work, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a piece of work. A lot of people made fun of me, including my son, who's directing tonight's show and producing tonight's show. Owen, you gave me a hard time because I still have Nebraska at 6.5. You think I'm crazy?
Wait a second, tonight's game?
No, 6.5 on wins.
On the total wins.
Now Nebraska heads into a bye week, right? Nebraska heads into a bye week.
They're halfway there.
They're halfway
almost,
there. No,
almost.
So they got 3 wins. They got Northwestern left. They're going to be home against Northwestern, home against Purdue, at Michigan State. There's no reason you can't win all three of those games.
You should win all three. That
Yes.
being the case, I guarantee you Northwestern, Purdue,
Yeah.
and Michigan State are looking at Nebraska and going, all right, if we take care of business, that's a winnable game. They're looking at the same thing.
At home against Maryland. I got to watch Maryland.
That's a tough one.
Well, I got to watch Maryland tomorrow against Ohio State to have a job. I mean, that 20-point spread woke me up, and we talked about it on Behind the Point Spread on Thursday night. So I want to watch Maryland tomorrow, then at Wisconsin against Iowa. There's still a possibility for 7 wins there. I think they get to 6. Now, 6.5 is what I took, so they need to get to 7 for me to get it. And then Owen's got to buy me steak at the Drover. Isn't that what you're going to do? You're going to buy me steak at the
Come
Drover?
along, I'll buy my own steak.
I don't think so, but yeah.
I mean, if I'm a Nebraska fan, I definitely take 6 wins because, you're
going to take 6 if you're going to go to a bowl game.
Yeah, you get 6, you got the bowl. So that's kind of a stupid parameter, I guess. I mean, nobody's going to not take 6 wins, I guess.
Yeah.
If Nebraska wins 4 games, if they win 5 games, are you okay with that?
I think people aren't going to be okay. Rob, they're not okay with tonight's win.
I think if Nebraska gets to 5 wins, people basically go, okay, we're better than Frost. We're good.
Yeah. If you get to 5 wins, if you get to 6 wins, that's overachieving.
I'm still stuck on the idea of the fact that Matt Rule, his first year average is what? 1-11, 2-10.
Repeat the question.
You look at what Matt Rule has done historically,
and you brought this up several times on the podcast.
At Temple, at Baylor, I know he was 1-11 year one. At Temple, I don't think it was much better. I thought it was like 2
those were shitholes too. So
damn,
they were.
Why do you hate the Baptist religion?
Because I'm Catholic. 402-543-5556.
Going to hell.
Let's go to Pierce. That's where Alex is. Alex, welcome to the Doc Talk podcast. What's up?
Hey, how's it going tonight, guys?
Good.
Doing well.
Hey,
hold on, Alex. You're in Pierce.
Yeah, I'm in Pierce. Yes, sir.
Yeah, give Les some grief for me, or okay.
We can do that for you.
Do that, please.
Yeah, we heard your comment about the size of the Illinois line, and we think we've come up with a solution. We think we know what happened. We think that Brett has been eating everything at the training table, and the O-line doesn't get any food anymore.
That is okay, but am I wrong though in the fact that I'm watching this game the whole night, and I'm like, I cannot believe how small Illinois' offensive line looked, because they used to put out there, you'd have the starting lineup, then they'd go 2 tight ends, and then they'd bring in the extra tackle on top of that. Literally, it would be a quarterback, a running back, and 9 offensive linemen, and all of them looked like they were 6'7", 340 pounds.
Because Brett Bielema is eating the entire training table.
I get it.
That dude is fat.
I think Brett
is fat.
I think Brett ate at least 2 or 3 of the linemen that were on the team.
He might have done that as well.
It's like they did not.
Out a couple of his better players.
Yeah, the last couple of years you played Illinois, they were going to line up with a bunch of big old bodies, and it was the simplest stuff you have ever seen. They would just line up in double tight ends, heavy formation with a third tight end who is usually an offensive lineman, and they would just run right behind those guys. You knew exactly where the ball was going. It just about 3/4 of the time you were powerless to stop it because there's too many huge bodies. We did not see that tonight. And that was really interesting to me, the fact that we didn't see that kind of look out of Illinois, because that's what Brett Bielema's hung his hat on with the success that he's had in Illinois, the success that he's had at Wisconsin. That's how it went. I don't know what he's going to do going forward, if he's going to go and try and find a bunch of massive bodies and try and go back to sort of this road grader type mentality. But I think right now, until you have the kind of talent that a Michigan or an Ohio State has, you got to go with that mentality, that road grader mentality where, hey, let's just find a bunch of huge human beings and we're going to run the ball behind them.
Let's go back to the phones at 402-543-5556. Let's go to Cherry, Nebraska. Is Cherry in Cherry County?
Well, we got some dirt out there, but yeah.
Okay. This is John, by the way. Hey, John, what's up?
Yeah. I was listening to one of your Mowgli podcasts, and so are we getting Mowgli as our president for the university?
It doesn't pay enough for Joe.
Come on, Rob.
I think he would enjoy that gig.
It pays. I guarantee it pays. I guarantee it pays enough that he could come and be our president.
Well, I mean, for him, that would be like weekend spending money.
Yeah,
it's the thing that I actually think.
We know that, but
you
don't think he would want to come
No,
back?
I don't.
I don't. Well, I think at this point he's developed.
Is he having enough fun where he's at?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put he lives in Myrtle Beach, right? I mean, so he lives in Myrtle Beach.
Right.
He runs the Coastal Carolina football department, and he runs a couple financial companies. He's loving life. He's on CNBC.
God, that would be right.
Yeah, he's truly living his best
Think about
life.
this. Joe Moglia, he does he does 3 media appearances: CNBC, Fox Business, and the Doc Talk podcast.
You don't have to worry about a frosting next to this weekend and freezing his flowers.
No,
exactly.
No.
Okay, so
exactly.
I wanna complain about people that are bitch about Corcoran, because I think he's done a good job in the run department.
Yeah, you do understand I'm one of those guys who complains about Corcoran.
No, well, that was different though. You were a different lineman. You know,
but I mean, I think, in my opinion, I mean, I think we were solid, but not like all timers.
Who, the Pipeline?
Yeah.
Yeah. If we drop back and pass the whole time that Pocket passed, how do you think our line's been 94, 95, 96, 97?
Well, I say that, and I gave up the most sacks in a 4-year period, and I gave up like 6.
What?
In a 4-year span. I think Wiegert at the right tackle spot. I think Zach gave up like 3 in a 4-year span, and he gave up nothing as a junior or senior. And we actually, the thing is though, we dropped back. I mean, you got to keep in mind, Frazier had a pretty damn good arm. We threw the ball. Brooke Behringer had an NFL arm. We threw the ball. We did a lot of shotgun. I mean, Brooke was amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, we ran a lot of stuff out of shotgun my senior year. What I'm saying though is that
scared of our play action though. They were so scared of our play action.
I get,
I think a lot of us will.
I get that, but that being said, some of the times I'm looking at Corcoran getting burned, it's on play action stuff. And here's the bottom line is that whether you're a guard or a tackle, whether you're good at run blocking or pass blocking, there's a job that needs to get done. And right now at this point in time, when it comes to pass blocking, he's not a guy he's not getting the job done. Now, I'm not saying that's an easy job. I'm not saying he does not have a burden upon his shoulders. The guy absolutely does. Does he need to do better for Nebraska to progress as an offense? Yes. Turner Corcoran needs to do better for Nebraska to progress as an offense. That's the bottom line. Now, here's the other thing. I don't think they've got anybody else on the team who can take that spot. Right now, he's the best he is the best we've got. So
I think so too, because and it seems when he steps back, he gets smoked. I don't know if he's got a bat, I don't know if he ain't got that to him or what it is, but when he steps back, he's in trouble.
yeah, and I think a lot of it is you've got a guy in Corcoran who is probably I do think he's a better guard than he is a tackle.
And you've said that for some time now.
Yeah, you put him out on an island.
Yep.
You've got that wide open space to his left. That's just not his strong suit. He's a guy that if you can get him kind of one-on-one, at that guard spot where he can match up and just lock onto a guy in that first 2, 3, 4/10 of a second after the ball snapped, he does well. You put him out there at tackle where that contact with the defensive player doesn't happen for a full second and a half, that's where he's going to be in trouble.
Hey, John, thanks for the phone call. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Yep. We've coming from Honolulu tonight. We're coming from New Mexico. You go ahead and go take a pee.
I gotta go to the bathroom. We've been drinking beer.
Rob's got to take a pee. We've had a lot of
Matt
beer.
hooked us up. I've killed like 4 of Matt's beers tonight.
And we'll talk about Matt's beers when we come back. But before we go any farther, Rob's going to go take a pee. So as he walks in front of the cameras, he's not even cognizant of the cameras that are around him.
Like 5 cameras.
I do want to thank our good friend David Max and Joe Hudson at HuskerMax.com. They are helping distribute this live show tonight. And David's been such a good friend to the podcast, and so is Joe. They distribute the podcast. They distribute our Doc's Diagnosis. They distribute the Behind the Point spread, and they're doing it tonight. And I can't thank David enough for doing that, for taking an Iowa guy like me and putting him on HuskerMax.com. I know he does it because of Rob, but that's a big deal, and we appreciate that. So when you need your Husker news, when you need a variety of voices, and that's what I like about David, is he has such a variety of voices at Husker Max, and you can get so many different voices. Just go to HuskerMax.com for a lot more of that. And also, I just want to take the time, as I'm killing time till Rob gets back. If you're not aware of some of the other stuff we do, some of you are, and we've heard a lot of people tonight say, hey, we listen to your podcast all the time. We have this will be the podcast, by the way, what you're listening tonight will be the podcast for the week. Just to let you know that, but we'll be back on YouTube on Monday and Tuesday with another Doc's Diagnosis. And if you haven't watched Behind the Point Spread yet, it's a Wednesday night show that airs at 8:00 Central. And we have myself with Dr. Rob and Scott Spreitzer out of Las Vegas. And Rob coined this. Rob called it the best show you probably never heard of on the internet, at least the best college football show. You don't even have to be a betting guy. Of course, the Doc podcast is presented by BetFred Sports, and that's an online sports book. But what Scott Spreitzer does, and Scott is originally from Omaha, moved to Las Vegas when he was 17, 18 years old, and has been a professional gambler ever since. He doesn't try to sell you anything. He's not screaming some 1-800 number at you. He's just giving you good, very good information. So that's Wednesday nights at 8:00. Go around that way. Just walk through. Who cares at this point? It's midnight. You got to pee. I didn't. And now don't do that. You're standing right in front of the camera. Only Rob would do that. Look at that. He's showing that he's wearing the Owen. You got to bend your knees a little bit, squat a little bit. Wearing the Owen Justice T-shirt.
I'm tall.
He is tall. So, and by the way, if you want to listen to some good original music, if you're into independent music, Americana, Heartland Rock, go to Spotify, search Owen Justice. There's 3 singles up there. And Owen's album will be coming out in December, by the way.
It is good stuff. I love the T-shirt. By the way, these T-shirts.
Yeah.
Comfy as hell.
Yeah. I like that T-shirt.
By the way, this is a 2X.
Yeah.
It's like the schmedium on me.
You look good, though. It accentuates the
pecs and the biceps.
Let's go up to Wilton, Wisconsin. That's where Ron is. Ron, welcome to the Doc Talk podcast. What's up?
Hey, Travis. I don't want to correct you or anything, but it's actually Milton. There's a Wilton, but there's a Milton.
You know what?
Hey, you can correct Travis anytime
It's
you
my
want.
Iowa education. It's my Iowa public school education,
I know.
I read it wrong.
Wait, where is it's? Well,
I
okay,
get
so
it.
it's Milton.
No, it's Milton.
Yes.
Milton with an M. Where is
Yes.
Milton, Wisconsin at?
Milton is half an hour south of Madison.
Gotcha. I know what you're talking
I
about.
lived in Wausau for a number of years. That's way farther north than where you're at.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, quite a way.
My folks lived in Whitewater.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's 15 minutes from me.
It's right there.
But,
Yeah, they were. My dad worked at UW Whitewater.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Yeah, great school.
No, that was a couple
Great
years
coaches,
ago.
Too. Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, I just wanted to give my brother Roy a shout out in Sioux Falls. He and I kind of text during the game tonight, and it just drives us nuts to watch this offensive line staying in that vein. Those between Ben Hart and Ben Scott and those just stupid things that those guys do, it just drives us to drink. And,
and that was a tough.
Throw this at you.
Yeah, that was a tough game for Ben Scott at center. This might be kind of one of the tougher games he had, which I mean, they ran a lot of stunts. They ran a lot of movement up front. And I thought you saw some frustration stuff out of him. The personal foul late in the game, I thought totally was a frustration thing with him where that was one of the times he actually had a good block on the guy. It was just one of those, screw it, I'm going to get that last little punch in at the end, and he just drove into the guy when he was already on the ground. So I get it, but yeah, it was not his best performance.
Yeah, well, I just thought, if you were the O-line coach, what would you be saying to these guys?
That's a tough question because it's one of those, every coach handles this kind of stuff differently. And I don't know if Donnie's got.
Say it. Say it. You had that long sigh. You're
no,
gonna say
I get it. It's you really look at this in terms of both the numbers and the talent. This is not a ideal situation for him to be in either, because you've got a group of guys that somebody to break down on this in terms of the numbers that Raiola's had to work with as the O-line coach. And I think it's something like 2 out of 9 offensive tackles that have been recruited that would be juniors and seniors on the team. Only 2 out of 9 guys are still there. Like 5 out of 10 interior linemen, centers, and guards over the last 5 years. Something like only 5 out of 10 guys are still on the team. He's basically working with essentially a 40% success rate when it comes to recruiting. Those are tough numbers to have to work with.
Hey, real quick, Ben says Rule said in the postgame that Illinois front seven had some disconcerting signals they were getting away with, and that's why they had so many false starts. Do you buy that?
Yeah.
I actually do, because they talked about that early. The announcers, who I thought were freaking horrible,
they weren't good.
Okay, Trav, you yourself even said Helfrecht was like, okay, you're not a very good announcer.
You need to start coaching again.
He needs to get back into coaching.
Get back into coaching.
Go back to Oregon. That was one of those things. Even the announcers talked about the fact that Nebraska, who routinely gets called for the disconcerting signals, that was a penalty that was not getting called tonight. And that's one of those things where if you're going to be an offense that runs out of shotgun, uses the hand clap thing as your signal, and the defense is over there doing the same thing, if you're not calling it on the defense, that's a little bit of a game changer.
Yeah,
it really is. Now, I'm one of those guys. I think it's an absolute bullshit call. I hate it. If you're the defense and you're trying to clap and make some noise to get your get your guys' attention, go ahead and do that. The fact that the offense uses that as a snap count signal, I think, is moronic. Find a quarterback who's got a goddamn voice and let him use it.
There you go. Hey, Ron, thanks for the phone call. Appreciate it.
Hey, good to hear from
betcha,
you.
You bet.
All right, we'll talk to you later on.
Hey, you too.
All right. We do have lines open now, and they were booked for a long time because we
got late, and then I went to the bathroom.
Well,
then
I didn't know what to
beer
do.
and went to the bathroom.
I didn't know what to do, so I can set how many lines we have. I can go up to like 10 lines.
You're like,
I just set it. I set it.
I don't know what
3.
to do with my hands.
Rob,
You're
looking at
like
himself in the camera.
You're like the phone version of Will Ferrell here.
402-543-5556. Glenn says, when Nebraska plays Iowa, which will end up being higher, points or turnovers?
Woo.
Good question.
That's a tough one because, I mean, Nebraska's defense they're growing in a direction where they're getting the turnovers. They're getting these stops. They're making big plays. Is this Iowa's defense? No, it's not. Not by a long shot.
No.
We'll
find out more tomorrow against Purdue. I think it'll be a good game to watch, actually. Purdue scored 44 last week.
I get it, but I look at that. I look at the Iowa Purdue. I can't even talk right now. I look at the Hawkeye Boilermaker game much in the same way I look at the Nebraska Illini game. It's a matchup of two very okay teams.
Listen, the whole West sucks. The whole Big Ten West sucks.
So okay. That's the bigger thing here. I told you earlier tonight, I was like, hey, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to quick workout. I'll meet you at the house. We're going to kill some chicken wings, drink some beer.
We did that. We killed some chicken wings.
We did. Thank you, mamas, by the way. The onion rings were outstanding. So I got the game. I'm watching most of the first quarter of the game. I got my phone. I got my pulled up Hulu. I'm watching it. The announcers made a comment about Illinois on their first drive because they drove down literally to what, the 1-inch line?
Yeah.
And the announcer's like, this is a great classic Big Ten West drive here to start the game. And I'm like, in other words, this is going to end in a field goal or a turnover.
That's a fair way to put it.
That's what you're saying. And I'm like, this is like the most moronic comment I've ever heard from a sportscaster in my life. And it's so freaking true.
It is so true. The Big Ten West is horrible. You just have to accept that.
It is. And I mean, these guys, this is a classic Big Ten game. And I'm like, okay, that's not saying much, buddy.
How about this? Satterfield is garbage. Rule was pissed at him a couple times on the sideline. Any chance that they ditch his ass after the season? No, I don't think so. This is part of the growing.
After the season?
Yeah. They're not going to get rid of Satterfield. He's not going to bring in a guy he brought in. He's not. I can see him get rid of him.
What if he gets rid of him for another guy that he brings in? Which, I mean, that's okay. You can't say it's a guy he brings in. He's the head coach. I mean, unless you're Perlman, who he'll bring in his own coach.
Look at this. Not Satterfield's fault, but his expertise on offense isn't what Rule wants. Just my opinion.
I did. Okay, so these are great comments, and I agree.
Scott adapts his offense to the personnel he has. The offense will change.
Yeah, I agree with that also. I don't think Satterfield is 100% safe here.
Really? Even after 1 year, I think you have to give it more than one. Rob, you're the first. I mean, how many people have we seen say, should have hired Lance Leipold, should have hired Deion Sanders? I get it.
There's other
have
guys.
To give it more than 1 year.
Oh, shoot. Who was the guy who started off with Bo Pelini? Not Norvell.
Watson.
Thank you. Sean Watson was the guy that I was, in my mind, I was like, yeah, done.
But that was Tom Osborne made Bo Pelini.
I get it, and I understand that from the fact that I think they were worried about losing recruits with him. Sean Watson was one of these like, okay, this guy is not going to bring anything to the table.
I don't think you can make it.
I like Norvell a lot. It's just that Norvell was a guy that I think got completely hamstrung by the fact that his boss was Bill Callahan, who actually thought he was an O coordinator, but was not. Yeah, I mean, and Tim Beck's one of those other guys that I looked at and was just like year one with Tim Beck, I was just like, this guy, like, I'm a doctor. I am not a football coach. I could call a better game than Tim Beck.
Boy, you wouldn't make Joe Mowgli happy right now. By the way, he says he runs it out of the shotgun in fourth and short. By the way,
likes honesty. He'd be okay with that.
By the way, Satterfield's not the only coach in America that runs 4th and 1 out of the shotgun.
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
And guess what? It frustrates everybody.
Yeah. Brian says Tim Albin as OC. Tim Albin is the current Ohio coach. Of course, followed Frank Solich there. I don't know if he'd give up a head coaching job to be the OC at Nebraska. I don't.
I wouldn't. I thought Tim was okay. I'm not sure he was great, but I thought he was okay.
Yeah,
as an O coordinator. I actually think he's a better head coach than he is a coordinator.
And there's a lot of cases for that. Craig Bull's a good indication of that. Craig Bull's a much better head coach than he was a defensive coordinator.
I totally agree.
543-5556. Let's go to TJ in Omaha. What's going on, TJ?
Hey, Doc.
How are you doing?
Honest opinion.
I've got
Good,
so many opinions, and they all, like at this point, oh my God, they're all honest.
You know how drunk Rob is? He is now drinking maple pecan porter. That's how.
By the way, that's a pretty damn good.
It's after
beer.
midnight. That's breakfast in a can. TJ.
This is 100% breakfast in the can.
Hey, so Doc, we've watched Augustana play football together. How many guys on their offensive line could play for Nebraska and do better job?
Ooh.
Like legit right now?
Yes.
Yeah, you've got 2 of Augustana's starters who would be starting at Nebraska right now. Yeah. Easily.
100%.
Yeah, easily. I do think Ben Scott's solid. I'm kind of a big fan of Newelly. I really am. I think last year having him out that whole year, God, that hurts. I mean, it's different from being injured because even the injured guys are there at practice. They're kind of soaking up a little knowledge. I mean, Newelly missed out on all of that. So I'm a big Newelly fan. I think Ben Scott's one of those guys who's pretty solid. Is he going to win the Remington? No, but he's solid. God, it drops off quick after that. But yeah, you've got there are 2 guys at Augie right now that would be starting at Nebraska. I mean, and this is an argument that we've talked about on the show before. You've got guys who were in Lincoln who've transferred. Look at AJ Forbes. Going to be a 3-year starting center at Montana. He's a 2-time all-conference guy. You got Chris Walker, who squandered 3 seasons as a defensive lineman in Lincoln. God bless him. Lincoln East kid. Loved watching Chris play in high school. He spent 3 years as basically like a 3rd, 4th string D lineman at Nebraska. He's the starting left offensive tackle at the University of Montana right now. He followed AJ up to Montana. It's that there's a guy, actually both those guys, it's not a great shot, but they got an outside shot at NFL careers. Chris especially.
Doc,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah, go ahead.
What I love is I think we have a better coach. When I watch downfield blocking, like today, I watched our tight ends and our wide receivers are blocking better than our offensive linemen.
They are currently. Actually, that was one of the things. I know a couple of people had been a little critical. Fedoni, dude, the guy's lighting it up with the blocking. Borkirker as well. these guys are getting after it. It's like you want to see that from the O-line. I'm not my problem with the offensive line in Nebraska right now is the fact that you've got a group of guys that have been there for 3, 4, 5 years. You don't have a lot of numbers to work with, and it's a situation where these guys might be the best you've got. They're not very good, but there's truly nobody else. So
yeah,
it's like that's what you've got to work with. I mean, it's until we get another 2 years down the road. I would love, like, in my mind, I want to see where Nebraska's at. Leave Raiola alone. Let him stay there. Let him do his thing. I want to see where we're at a couple of years from now. That's my thing with him, because I truly think this is going to be a multi-year process. But from a recruiting standpoint, a developmental standpoint, a transfer portal standpoint, it's just we don't have the horses in Lincoln right now on the offensive line. There's guys that could have done some great things there. They've gone to other places already.
Hey, TJ, thanks for the phone call, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, but you bet. Thank you.
Yep, sip. Real quickly, we do want to thank our good friends at BetFred Sports. Fred is your guy when you want to bet more bonuses, more bets. Right now, get your bet back if your team loses in overtime. Look at you. That's right. Rob's got the BetFred hat on.
Why do you not sport the BetFred swag?
Well, yeah, I do. I have a lot of BetFred.
How come you hate BetFred?
Because if I wear a hat, then my eyes get covered here and you can't see my face. And I'm all about people seeing my pretty face.
I'm pretty sure the glare off your dome would light everything up.
It's a look at that. I know. And I didn't shave my head today either, so I feel bad about that. But if you want to know where BetFred is operating, go to betfredsports.com. If you're in Eastern Nebraska, just cross over the river, download the BetFred Sports Iowa app. If you're in Western Nebraska, cross over the border in Sterling and download the BetFred Colorado app, and you can take it.
Or if you're Travis, you go to the strip club.
No, I don't go to the strip club.
Yeah, you used to go to the strip club.
I park in the strip club because
that's a strip club.
The Spearmint Rhino is in Iowa property. Okay. So if anybody's ever flown, just to let you know this, when you go to Omaha Eppley Airfield and you're driving down Abbott Drive, you're going to see the Spearmint Rhino, and the Spearmint Rhino, half of it is in Iowa, half of it is in Nebraska.
It's right on the border.
Yeah, it goes right. The building is right on the border. It's on the border, literally.
There was literally so I mean, the thing
is, I appreciate that.
The Missouri River, for people who aren't from this area, the Missouri River is the border between Nebraska and Iowa,
except for Carter Lake.
The river changed course.
Thanks to the Army Corps of Engineers, I believe, right?
Exactly. About 110 years ago.
And
you ended up with Carter Lake.
Which nobody claims.
Like neither Omaha nor Nebraska. I'm sorry. Neither Iowa nor Nebraska claims it. It's it's its own thing.
It has a casino there, but it has a strip club called the Spearmint Rhino, which was made popular in Las Vegas. Not that I would know that or anything.
And technically...
the parking lot is in Iowa.
It is. For people who are listening, it's an oddly interesting thing to me. There is literally a 200 square foot chunk of land completely within the borders of Nebraska that technically are Iowa.
Yeah. And Nebraska went crazy when they first put a casino there, which was fun.
Yeah, it's the oddest shit ever.
Yeah.
You've got a strip club,
but
a casino,
I parked,
and Travis in the parking lot.
I parked there to see if the geotagging worked, right? Because it's all geotagged.
Sure you did.
I did. That's the only reason I parked.
And
in the parking lot.
download a bunch of...
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. Because you don't have to download anymore. It's all free on the internet, Rob.
That's called downloading.
No, I don't
it's
download.
Still the internet.
It's all
still
streamed.
the internet.
It's all streamed, Rob.
Okay, streaming, downloading, it's all the same. What's the difference between downloading and streaming.
Because I'm not putting the thing on my phone.
Okay, fine. You're streaming it in real time.
By the way, Dr. Rob and I are going to have an OnlyFans page. We're just going to move this to
Trav
OnlyFans.
loves his porn. I'm just saying.
We're gonna
but he only likes Iowa porn.
We're going to move this to $12.99 a month at OnlyFans.
if there's not if there's not pork chops and I don't know what other livestock involved.
By the way,
Trav doesn't like it.
And people are dropping off now. Either people are laughing their ass off right now, or they're like, "I can't take this anymore. I can't take it."
I'm laughing so hard I can't even talk.
A good time for a bye week, bad time for a bye week.
Actually, I think this is a great time for a bye week. Here's the thing: was that a great win by Nebraska?
It was
one word. Give me a one-word answer.
No.
Great win, yes or no?
No.
No, it was not. Totally agree with you. Was this a game that gave you? Did you look at this Nebraska game and say, yeah, there's a shit ton of stuff we got to clean up? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. There you go. This is a great time for a bye week. This was not a great performance. You got a lot of stuff you got to clean up. There's a lot of things Nebraska has to fix. There's some identity stuff here, especially in offense. And I don't know if Nebraska has the consistently dedicated personnel to really find that identity yet. But I mean, that's what bye weeks are for.
But you got the bye week.
You've got 2 weeks here to kind of figure some stuff out, and that's a good thing for this Nebraska team.
There you go, and that's a good way to sum it up, and maybe a good way to finish on, because the bye week comes, and when you look at the schedule, Nebraska still with an opportunity to get to 6, possibly 7 wins. I don't think they can get to 8. I don't.
I think I got to be honest with you. I think 6 is a stretch.
Really? Gosh,
a little bit.
I mean,
see
it differently.
Well, and I don't say that in a bad sense. I mean, if Nebraska, if you look at games like the Northwestern game, the Purdue game, the Michigan State game, if Nebraska is competitive in those games, I think I'm fairly happy. And I say that because I look at what Rule's done at previous programs. He's a 1-10, 2-10, 1-11 guy. Most of the places he's been prior to this, at least from a college standpoint, he's got 3 wins right now. We're a little ahead of the curve. I'm okay with that.
No onions, please. Says, I know this is just an opinion, but Dr. Rob didn't like Farniok. He's in the NFL. Didn't like Gates. He's in the NFL. When will he admit it may not be Corcoran? It might have to be coaching.
Okay, so you make a pretty good point here. I ripped on their productivity in college.
Probably Farniok more than any of them.
Dude, I hammered Gates so freaking hard.
You did.
And he went to my Giants. The guy spent 2 years as the starting center for the Giants. He did. I mean, I hammered Gates hard. Swinging Gates.
I remember those days.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, here's the thing.
But he's not calling you out. I thought he was going to call you out. He's calling the coaching that's been at Nebraska, coaching the offensive line.
You can call me out. I'm fine with that. No, I mean, but you're right there. I mean, those were guys that did not have great careers in college. I have made this point on the podcast multiple times, is that one of the things that is incredibly frustrating to me as a former player is when you see guys who go through Nebraska, have these incredibly mediocre college careers, and then they go to the NFL and actually get some great coaching. They shine.
Yeah.
And you got these guys, I mean, you've got the Slausens and the Stirrups and the Farnioks, the Gates, these guys who you look at and think, hey, they have not had a great college career. These guys suck. And why are they starting for an NFL team? And it's because they're pretty good athletes. and they're pretty good football players.
And they're getting better coaching.
And they finally got some good coaching. We'll see what happens. I mean, I would be the first to tell you that when it comes to physical ability, Corcoran's up there. Ben Hart's up there. It doesn't mean that they're great players at Nebraska. And until they are, I'm going to keep ripping them a new one. But, I mean, that's the bottom line, is that they're not great players at Nebraska. Corcoran is a horrible football player at Nebraska right now. Does he have the tools to be a good football player? Yes, he does. I would hope that we get to see some of that at Nebraska. My gestalt is we're not going to see that until next year or the year following, when he's a starting offensive guard for the Indianapolis Colts.
There you go. And that's a good way to wrap it up. You know what? We could go. We could still have 140 people watching right now. We could sit here and probably go for another hour, but the truth is it's
I need to go to bed.
Yeah.
By the way, dude, if you got a question, throw it out to me on Twitter. I'll do my best. I'll try to answer.
At Doc Talk Sports is the place to find Dr. Rob on Twitter, or now X, or you can send an email, doctalksports@gmail.com. Make sure to watch. If you like tonight's show, and we take phone calls during Behind the Point Spread, it's the best college football show you're just starting to hear about. It's Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock. Dr. Rob, myself, Scott Spreitzer, talk about 4 games. Nebraska's always one of them. Iowa's always one of them. We picked 2 other games. Have a lot of fun with it. Watch on Wednesday nights. You will enjoy it. We promise. Watch the Doc's Diagnosis.
That is the best college football show out there. Is Behind the Point Spread.
I would agree. Watch the Doc's Diagnosis presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. Big thanks to Connor Orr at Orr & Horgan, who supports the podcast. Husker Hounds, Centris Federal Credit Union, and, of course, our good friends at Husker Max, David Max and Joe Hudson, for all the great work that they do. For Dr. Rob Zatechka, thanks for staying up late with us. Hope you enjoyed this. We love your feedback. We love you guys listening to us.
Love the calls.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll probably – I said this is going to be this week's podcast. Rob's going to come back here on Sunday to do the diagnosis. We'll probably do another podcast just for shits and giggles, right?
Why would we not?
Why would we not?
Hold on. Is there beer?
Yes. You've seen the fridge. All right.
Done.
All right. So we'll do another one this week. How's that? We will talk to you next time on the Doc Talk podcast presented by BetFred Sports.